Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About You, ABQ.
Season 2 ABQ. Now, the goal of the show is to highlight the best of our city's industry experts in real estate, culture, and lifestyle so that you walk away with some value and feeling inspired. Now, the way we like to do that is to answer the questions you may have or interview the guests that you'd like to see. So we invite you to join the conversation. You can reach out using the hashtag above or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage.
Home loan expert. Now, you probably recognize Grant as the head coach of the University of New Mexico men's Lobo hockey team, but now he's absolutely crushing it in the mortgage game.
You may have seen Skip on HGTV's House Hunters, and he's part of the top 2% producing real estate agents in the city. Season 2, clean it up.
Season 2, a little tight. I feel like we're tighter now, you know?
Way tight.
Not
uptight.
Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. Todd and Travis Tabet, a couple of local celebrities from the Belen area, small business, or actually big business owners here in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into what they've got cooking, what it's like doing business in Albuquerque, why stay in Albuquerque, and just kind of what we can expect.
Yeah, these two guys are kind of my college saviors, and we'll get into that. But they were fraternity brothers, and throw out everything you know about fraternities because it's wrong. Or we may live up to it.
Stay tuned. Grant's going to jump into the Mortgage Minute. What are we talking about today? A little teaser.
We're talking about appraisals.
Oh,
everyone's
least favorite topic.
Yeah.
Stay to the end of the show. We're going to break down everybody's favorite portion of the show is Skip's Tips. So, Grant, we have been on vacation.
Yeah.
Not so much we've been on a hiatus. I wouldn't call it a vacation. I've been working pretty hard. A little bit of an addition to our family. Everybody, let's welcome to the world, not even to the show, let's welcome to the world Adeline Adams. My wife delivered a cute little baby girl, 7-pounder. What was it? I don't even know what today is.
It's a girl. It was a girl.
It was a girl.
Yeah.
But it was, 3 weeks ago. So we're back in studio, back just crushing it right now. And you're probably wondering, I did get new glasses. Season 2, new you.
Get your own idea, please. I did the glasses thing, but now
that was
season 2.
1.
Oh, I've got vision problems also.
I need help.
Okay, wait up, boy. So tell us about, you had a Mother's Day, right?
Well, definitely. It was
not you, but.
Not me personally, but a girl I know.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
So we brought home Adeline Adams, and the funny thing is people always care. They always want to check in on you. How is sleep? Are you guys getting your sleep? What's it like? And I'm like, you know what? I don't breastfeed, so I'm good, kid. It's all about having a good partner because Ashley takes one for the team. She stays in the guest room with Adeline, and they do the 2 hours up, get some milk, 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
So, but they're great. It's coming along awesome. We had a fantastic Mother's Day. To speak to what you said, traditionally growing up, we would take the family hike up into the Jemez Mountains. Have you spent much time up in Jemez?
Well, I don't want to get into this, but I was an Eagle Scout, and I spent way too much time in the wilderness, and that's why I don't like camping to this day. But take it away.
So here we explored some parts of Jemez. There's a historical site, and you get to walk around and expose the kids to some culture, although they might be a little bit too young to
What is that, the Alamo?
That is the Alamo. In fact, that is, I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you. But we did find some lizards. So Birdie's my oldest. We introduced her to lizards, and she chased lizards around for a while, and so that was kind of the highlight. But the Spence hike, if you're not familiar with the Spence hike over in Jemez, takes you all the way up to, up the mountain, and then the crescendo is there's a hot spring, and everybody jumps in the hot spring, and great sick views of the surrounding wilderness. So that was kind of our Mother's Day, and then we came back, and that was about it.
You know who likes hiking? Is people who didn't go through Boy Scouts. I don't even want to hike again. I want when I go through, I want a mint on my pillow. That's all I want. I'm not doing that anymore. Good for you. Let's talk about last night. So my favorite
80s?
Childhood.
80s, 90s? They're 80s, right?
80s, yeah. So I had an older sister and listened to INXS and Depeche Mode and stuff. But The Cure my favorite band in the world came, and I was ready to leave the continent, but they came to Albuquerque last night, and it was everything I ever wanted. So I'm a pretty pumped guy right here. And that the Cures came to Albuquerque. Like, do we need to sell Albuquerque anymore? The Cure finds it important to be here.
Yeah, they must have found our podcast, and so now they're like, hey, these guys.
Big fans, Cure, hey.
Shout out to, what's his name? I don't even...
This guy doesn't. You used to ask him when we first met. Hey, what music do you like? Who's your favorite band? Offspring and
The Offspring.
Like, do you know any other bands? Oh no, I like music a lot. Comes to my Pathfinder.
What does that even mean?
He had a Pathfinder.
Okay, let's move forward. So here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. Coming up, we're talking about Skip's tip, but the Mortgage Minute. Now we're in a little bit of a transitional period as we get into the spring, summer selling season. We're starting to see values go haywire again. But let's talk about appraisals and kind of why they're so important.
Yeah, we're going to talk in our Mortgage Minute. So let's talk about appraisals. And this seems to be the bane of existence for people in my profession and obviously realtors. House goes up for sale, list it for $400. The appraiser has it at $390. There used to be a system in which you would send an appraiser out as a loan officer, and that's someone that you knew to be reliable and fast, and you'd go send them out there. What started happening in 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8 is value coercement. So then there had mortgage guys get in a appraiser's ear and go, hey, we actually need this value. And then they would go get that value, which is, coercement. So, and like every other policy and polarity, they swing the other way, and they said, all right, no one gets to pick the appraisers. They'll be from this giant pool of appraisers, regardless of your ineptitude. So now what you have is really capable appraisers amongst people that shouldn't be in the profession, and they actually don't have to listen to any phone calls, and they don't have to feel any pressure, and they get paid regardless. It's I won't say racket, but the appraisal system is kind of taking a hit. So appraisals, let's talk about them. Very important for purchase. Obviously, banks aren't going to lend on something that the value's not there. If your house goes for $400,000 and value comes at $390, the bank is going to lend you value based on $390. If you want to pay the extra $10,000, then that's up to you. That's something that often happens sometimes with tricky households and something that's hard to find value. The other thing that's very important for appraisals is actually in refinances, we try to establish a loan to value, how much you're trying to borrow versus how much your house is worth. Most of the time for cash out refinances, you go up to 80% loan to value. So all this comes into play. Where I'm going with this is appraisals are a major, handcuffing item for many loan officers, and we are at their mercy when it comes to value. So everyone keeps hearing about appraisals. They're a necessary evil. Every once in a while, you get an appraisal waiver if the software feels like your purchase price is actually worth it based on comparables. But other than that, appraisals are here to stay, and I could teach you more about them, but find a local mortgage professional and we can go further in appraisals. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. Mortgage Minute.
Dude, I gotta say, season 2, we'll get back to talking about appraisals because I want to talk about it. That turquoise background is where we hit the mark with the turquoise, because I think that's very southwestern. It's Albuquerque.
Yeah.
You guys all noticed it. I just thought I would call attention to it again. But no appraisal. So in our contracts here in New Mexico, as a buyer, you are protected with your appraisal contingency, which means if for whatever reason the appraisal comes in less than the purchase price, you are not required to buy the home. You may cancel and retain your earnest money deposit. 3 things that can happen. Number 1, you can cancel. Number 2, you can renegotiate a lower purchase price to match the appraised value. Or number 3, you can pay the difference between the appraised value and the purchase price in cash at closing.
So I would say a good real estate agent who's listing a house knows what they're in for and may be able to predict that. So I think the communication between buyer and seller is huge. I think a capable seller knows that there might be some hard value, and then they need to make provisions so no one's surprised come the middle of the loan. So I think the two capable real estate agents can work around some of the appraisal snafus, but it's definitely something that we're seeing. And with rising values, sometimes the appraisals can't catch up, And so if the buyer wants it, they're going to have to come in and put some skin in the game and make up the difference between the purchase price and the appraised value.
Always some good info, and we always try and touch a little bit on real estate and just talk about what's going on here in the market. But here's why you're going to want to stay tuned next. Todd and Travis Tabet. This sounds so poetic,
Nicest guys. Everyone that ever, if I mention their name, oh my God, this guy one time, he put down his jacket so this woman didn't have to step on the puddles. Luckily, he had 7 jackets, so she made it across the street.
So stay tuned. We're going to talk about a couple local businesses that they're running here, pros and cons of doing business here in Albuquerque, and why leave, why come back to the American Southwest. So stay tuned, and then all the way to the end of the show where we get into Skip's Tips. This is UABQ. Stay tuned. Welcome back to UABQ. It's season 2. What you gonna do?
Right.
I am Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage expert.
Here's why you're gonna want to stay tuned. Segment 2, Todd and Travis Tabet. It's like a tongue twister to say, but local celebrities out of Belen. So if you've ever been to Albuquerque or Belen, you know Todd and Travis.
They do. They're rock stars, they're movie stars down there, and now they're making their way into Albuquerque, maybe to Santa Fe.
Maybe worldwide.
Yeah.
So let's welcome to the show Todd and Travis. Thank you guys for joining us, making the drive downtown and sitting in the studio. It's always fun to get to know business owners here in Albuquerque, but talk a little bit about how you guys became friends with Grant. And I'm sure there's some stories that we can't share with our massive following we have, but I'm always curious to see, Grant always has great connections in the community, but talk a little bit about how you guys know each other.
I'll begin. So, I was 18 and bouncing from house to house, and starts UNM school year, and I go, I'm join a fraternity, and I'm gonna live in that fraternity house when I get there. So I'm 18 and do the pledge living there, which is a giant mistake. Like, no one should ever do that. And luckily I had these 2 guys that were my hallmates, and they were living the college dream. Taking 6 hours. Last 2 classes were PE before graduating, so they were hosting like grandiose parties. And I was 18, and I was like saying my prayers before bed, and then going trying to get doing my schoolwork. And they're like, "Come on, Harvey, it's time to wake up, sit in the resting home." So, anyways, these guys treated me so well, and I have to actually attribute me staying in the fraternity because of their friendship. So, yeah, that's my thank you on there.
So talk a little bit about your experience at UNM, because I think one of the things that's fascinating about Albuquerque is that we have the lottery scholarship, and I don't know if that was something that you guys were able to take advantage of, or if that came after you. But
tuition was like $800 a semester. So.
Well, that's one of the cool things about living in Albuquerque is the cost of living, and so New Mexico put together the lottery scholarship, and that's big at the University of New Mexico, especially when recruiting hockey players or recruiting anyone to go to school. That's a huge selling point.
Yeah, it's helped me do quite a bit of recruiting, and actually have even a transfer student get 1 year residency, and then they can get their school paid for, which is next to unheard of, and it's like me offering a scholarship to them athletically. So it was before their time, but I do think that UNM's success has been predicated on getting most of their New Mexico graduates to the university. Now, you guys graduated from Belen High School, right? Is that
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. And so Belen is an interesting little animal. I've heard
Belen's what is it? It's like 45 minutes or an hour south?
South here. Yeah, about 45 minutes.
So what's its reputation? It doesn't change. It's what, antiquated. It's like cute and novel, right? But it's really one of the few cities that has just kind of stayed. Like, you fast forward for 40 years and it's the same going on. What's your take on Belen?
It was like, I guess got its start as a railroad town, and it was a nice place to grow up, to be honest. I mean, we could ride our bikes anywhere, and it was nice.
Talk a little bit more about Belen, because I get a lot of phone calls, real estate related, of people going, Albuquerque is great, but I want to live somewhere a little bit smaller, quieter. And I haven't spent much time in Belen. I started to explore a little bit Las Lunas, Bosque Farms, just because you get more for your money, you get more space, and it's kind of a sleeper area. But talk a little bit about Belen. What is the backstory? Are we river farmers? What is the economy there?
A little bit of everything, a lot of agriculture. Again, big railroad town.
Yeah, it was a big railroad hub down.
Say more about that. So they were,
BNSF.
Yeah,
Yeah,
BNSF.
the BNSF.
And it was like it's a little bit country down there.
a little bit.
Yeah.
It's country.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been down there in years, but from what I know, it's I still have a lot of friends and family down there.
Did you guys have acreage growing up, or did you just like live in the suburbs of Berlin?
No, we didn't have no acreage, no farming.
Yeah. It's like one big
we
suburb.
lived right in the middle.
Oh, it is,
of
okay.
there, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your graduating class? How big was the high school?
Was there 300 or 400 in
Yeah.
our?
Yeah, so I
class?
consider Bosque Farms in Los Lunas and Belen like a Tri-Cities area, right? It's kind of one conglomerate, but they have subdivided. But it's a really close community there amongst each other, and anyone that's been down there has a story about the Tabets and them treating them nicely. So I think that's a great legend to leave behind, and what's built. Now let's get into RAKS Lumberyard and your father's take on that. How many stores did he start off with, and what was the original store?
So in 1986, he opened up the store in Los Lunas.
Okay.
RAKS Lumber Supply?
RAKS Building Supply.
Oh, Building Supply.
And currently we have 5 locations and a truss yard as well.
Okay, so tell me and tell the audience how, in the age of Home Depot and Lowe's, how a small business like this thrives.
Okay. So it's all about personal relationships, customer service, especially at our stores up here in Albuquerque, which is primarily lumber, drywall, foundation material. We kind of made our way by delivering, same day delivery.
Yeah.
And just quick service, as compared to maybe if you go to a box store where you're just you're pulling up in a trailer. And
Yeah.
You're putting it on and taking it off.
Yeah, it's great to see that still is prevailing. And I know when I walk in the store, everyone knows my name, and it's great to be greeted like that. And I think it's important that still counts for something, because in the age of people shopping at things for China or lowest cost denominator, it's kind of sad to see sometimes the smaller shops go away. But it's nice that and New Mexico's kind of stubborn. I would still think, right? We kind of like our ways, and we're not going to kind of cave into big store mentality. So I think that's kind of a tribute to New Mexico, whether it be real estate or businesses. I think we're such a stubborn community that we go, to heck with that big store place. Like I still want to do business with my guys. So.
Well, to speak to that too, I think when you walk into big stores, and I think this is true across all businesses, that after the pandemic, it was hard to find good help, good labor to come in and kind of carry your brand and present the brand appropriately. Because you walk into a Home Depot, and you may as well just start kicking yourself in the nuts. I mean, no one's there to help you. They're just like,
I work in the doorbell section. Don't ask me about a
why
light.
are you asking me? Don't bother me. And so I think it's awesome that people always want to support local business, and to meet local business owners that family owned and operated. To speak to what Grant said, you walk in and people know your name, and let me show you where the doorbell section is. I'll help you figure it out. I mean, that's rare to find now. So.
Let's talk about the beginning. So you came out of college and went right into the family business.
Correct.
And then you took not a black sheep approach, but Travis took off and kind of did his own thing. And so let's talk about your journey after college.
So I moved to San Diego, and was looking for a job. I flipped burgers at this famous place called Rocky's for like a week.
Yeah, dude, that's a spot.
Yeah, I'd come out of there just, one big grease just coming off me, and I just went into the Padres with a resume, and I speak a little Spanish, and they needed someone to answer phones that speak Spanish, so I did that, and then I got moved into season ticket renewals and a little bit of sales, and was there for about 4 years. Opened up Petco Park, which was was an experience.
Well, every year at Petco gets voted best stadium.
Oh, it's awesome.
Nicest, ambiance, nicest experience in Major League Baseball. So it's a great place. And the fact that you were there is part of the opening crew to get it up and running. I'm sure there was a lot of quirky things that you guys had to figure out that first year. But
we'll bring it back to Skip. Spent a lot of time in San Diego and was in the Padre organization. So I think this is kind of serendipitous that these two are on the show. I do have to say that there's such a large segment of guys that we were in the fraternity with that headed off to San Diego.
Yeah.
And inadvertently, and then there's probably 6 of them still there right now, right? But what a funny thing to have. There was one time I was cheering against San Diego State in Bubs. Is that the
Bubs downtown.
So I'm screaming, and there's guys ready to fight me, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And I see this guy named Randy Nunez, and he's
that's an Albuquerque name.
Yeah, he is a legend in every regard. And then he's like, yeah, that's my guy right there. And I go, Randy, you're here? Yeah, I saw you, Grant, from 30 minutes ago. Well, I could have helped. You could have used your help 30 minutes ago. But anyways, it's just such a funny thing to be in another city and go, hey, that's my guy. So, anyways, there's a big portion of San Diego.
There's little pockets of Albuquerque kids in any city you go to, but I feel like San Diego's with a big one. Phoenix and Denver's always another big one as well. But Travis, when you lived in San Diego, did you at any given time? I'm speculating you could open your freezer and there would be bags of green chili in there.
Yeah,
it's
my
kind
old
of
man would send some to me.
Kind of a trend
I'm
of
a
all
red
New
chili guy,
Mexicans.
though.
You can't.
I like red chili much better.
There
But
you go.
I introduced both red and green there, and then I was in San Francisco for 10 years.
Don't you think a New Mexico restaurant would do well anywhere?
Yeah.
I really feel like if someone wanted to do the restaurant industry, wouldn't you put up like a Garcia's?
Yeah.
And it would work anywhere. People go, oh my gosh, I've never had something like that before. And even if you're bad at it, like some of the restaurants can be here, you would make hand over fist with that.
You would think that. And so when I was living in Long Beach, there was a New Mexican restaurant. It was called the Santa Fe Station. It had the Zia symbol, and it was like authentic New Mexican food. And I was like, oh, y'all about to get served. And I got my friends, and we went in there, and it fell so flat.
Yeah.
It was like watered down commercial bullshit, and I felt so bad. So to speak to that, it really doesn't take off, and I think that restaurant closed after like 6 months. I was like, this is garbage.
Yeah,
it was a terrible representation.
I mentioned Garcia's because I think they have it down, right? And their dishes are kind of simple, but it's a very reliable dish that you get there for pretty cheap. And so I think what a good food to put out there for $11 burrito plate, and probably cost you $3, but like what an easy, reliable way to turn something out that people aren't used to. Kind of like the fusion of Asian and pho, how pho took off and stuff. I think that could be the next one. All right, so you leave the Padre organization.
Yeah, and I moved to San Francisco, and I worked in a couple nonprofits for about 10 years. Yeah.
Good man.
And, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Okay. So
I like the
then
city.
you go, hey, I really miss Grant Harvey doing donuts in my dad's lawn. Let me come back to Albuquerque. So now let's talk about your.
So I came back, and I missed the weather here. I had family here. My brother's girls and my other brother's girls were getting bigger, and I just kind of wanted to see them grow up. And so I went back to school. Went back to UNM.
Yeah.
And
what did you study?
Landscape architecture, master's of landscape.
He joined the
architecture.
diving team like Rodney Dangerfield.
Right?
Is that right?
Yeah. It was
The triple Lundy.
Back in the frat house. Yeah.
And it was a great experience. Grades were much better.
Yeah. When you actually care.
You're like, this is important.
Or it's on your dime, right?
Yeah.
So now you opened up a landscaping company, right?
Yeah.
And so talk about how there's a lot of folklore about landscaping, and maybe it costs too much, or like I don't know how it's going to turn out. Let's talk about how you kind of clear the air on stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially with residential, I think Xeric design gets sort of a bad name. You think of gravel and a couple of yuccas, but we have plants here that are naturalized to the climate, and they do really well here. So you can add some color, and some flowers that bloom in the spring, summer, even into the fall. And landscaping can be expensive. It just depends on what you do. An outdoor kitchen and something like that's going to run a little bit of money. But if you just want to add some plants and like soften edges of your yard and add color, it's just a drip line and some plants.
Yeah. So you do 3D renderings too, right?
Yeah.
So someone, because for a guy like me, I have to always see it. So you can say, hey, I'll show you what it looks like. Here's your house, here's how I think
Exactly.
that's an important thing too, because I think sometimes people want to roll the dice on landscaping. It shouldn't be like that. You should be able to see what you're getting ahead of time.
Yeah, because there's the design, the site plan, and then people want to see what it's going to look like when it's fully landscaped, and it's
The finished product, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so many times in real estate, and this ties back into appraisals and why people move to Albuquerque is, because of our weather, you can be outside and in the backyard and enjoying the sun. What is it, 300 days a year, whatever it is. But so many times with either new construction or even existing construction, when you're showing properties, the backyard is just a vacant dirt lot with tumbleweeds and goat heads, and nobody ever takes the time to actually improve it. So perceived value versus actual value. We talked about appraisals. If I'm showing a property and it's got an outdoor kitchen, some nice, astroturf and some shade and some texture back there, that's going to add so much perceived value, but also value when you go back to appraise the property as well.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with a lot of Albuquerque properties, especially the west side, is they would build you the house, go, hey, you're on your own. You're on your own for the rest of the yard. It can be pretty daunting, and I think my backyard was an example of that. Well, I told people, just close the blinds, don't even look back there. I mean, I think there's the weeds are on fire or something. But once you get your backyard filled, it's a whole new living experience, and you're happy to use all your home. And then I think in the age of COVID, I think a lot of people went back to improving their home, to saying, we spend a lot of time here, we pay for this thing, why not enjoy it? So I think that there's a new, and if you agree with this, a new generation of people being enthused about the backyard and not just going, just weeds will grow anyway. So
Yeah.
I mean, is that seeing your business take off from that kind of mindset?
Yeah, it was really busy during COVID. It was super busy, actually.
So do you guys work hand in hand? I mean, you supply some building stuff for the backyard, because I know in your backyard they did amazing transformation.
I know, I was almost going to send the pictures up. I was building pergolas and putting up wood fencing during the wood fiasco,
Yeah,
and
pandemic
everyone was like,
pricing.
"Man, this guy must be an oil man. He must be rich. He's a monopoly guy, lives down the street." But I mean, I was able to build these quality 6x6 beam pergolas from their supply yard. So I mean, their wood is top notch, and not that they need.
You're a big wood guy.
I think wood stained with paraffin is one of the prettiest things you can do in your backyard. I mean, an upkept wood structure, I think, is.
And on the other side, an unkept wood structure is the worst thing that you can have in your house.
Yes.
Right.
How many times you walked in, it's just a black widow farm like falling down? And,
What is that? The pond? Is it what trees are these that are still green? That like a bad building wood is what? Like the wood that a lot of people build with is still wet.
Yeah. So all the wood that it's pretty much code. If you're building a house, it has to be kiln dried, and it'll be stamped right on the lumber.
Yeah.
In our climate, like the wood they use in Texas and maybe in the South, just really doesn't do good in our climate. They use a bunch of southern yellow pine over there.
Okay.
We've tried to bring it into our climate, and for some reason, if it's the altitude or the dry heat, it just goes south.
But so cedar and Douglas fir.
Oh yeah, for like pergolas and
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
So those are the what did I get?
You got Douglas fir. Yeah.
You and Doug.
Yeah. So I mean, there's many ways to go about doing your backyard. I would invite you guys to go check out Travis's options and what he offers. But I think you may be surprised about what you could do with a smaller budget. And I think everyone in their head goes, "I don't have $40,000," and it doesn't have
but
to
to
be
speak
like
of that, most people don't know what it costs to landscape. No one's
Right.
ever. But it is a sticker shock if you're not prepared for it, because all of a sudden you go, well, you want me to spend $40,000 to give this some shape? But what it does is it's an extension of your home now. You have more living space to use in your house.
Yeah.
So I always see the value, and I'm a big outdoor guy. Always grilling and stuff like that. So
I think there's definitely a demographic that can appreciate a good backyard. And then the people think that might be a waste, but I think you're going to get, and we're going to see this, you're going to find a premium for those houses that are done where people go, it's move-in ready, I don't have to do anything else, just like a house that has been revamped or remodeled. They go, you did the backyard, maybe you even pay over value for that. So I think there's a section of people that go, I want my kids to be playing back there, I want a usable space. And so I hope that bodes well for your business, but I think there's a growing amount, and I think in our generation it goes, I want my backyard done.
So yeah, we'll have links to both of your businesses in our description below, and definitely be pumping you guys up. And I think it's
Longtime supporters of the Lobo Hockey program too. Love these guys.
we all are.
Yeah.
We're all a bunch of athletic supporters, right?
Bunch of jocks.
A bunch of jocks.
Straps. Okay.
All
It's
right,
gonna bring in
good.
a hoodie to get it signed by the coach, but you know.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
he became a general manager now.
Yeah.
Waste of Sharpie.
Todd and Travis, thank you guys for stopping by UABQ again. Follow
for
these
having
guys
us.
online, and we'll have links to your stuff on our website. Coming up in the next segment, here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're going to do a little bit of wrap up, but everybody knows why we're here. Season 2, nothing changes.
You kind of
Stay
look
tuned.
like Ryan Reynolds in these glasses.
Van Wilder?
Ryan Reynolds rap.
Stay tuned for Skip's Tips.
We're back. Whole new season, whole new layout. Just relaxed, taking it easy, being at ease with our audience. Now we're gonna go into our gentle, soft segment of Skip's Tips.
Fucking nailed it. Skip's Tips. Anything that saves us time, makes us more money, or allows us to have more fun, whether that's in real estate or real life. So, investing in the stock market versus investing in real estate. If you have $100,000 and you invest it in the stock market, well, then you get $100,000 worth of stock. $100,000 invested in real estate will get you a $500,000 house. So, if both of these investments were to return 5%, your stocks will give you a $5,000 return, whereas investing in real estate will get you a $25,000 return. Share this with a friend and tell them Skip said so.
Option number 3, Beanie Babies.
Beanie Babies never left.
Take all your money out of your 401k, place them into carefully designed Beanie Baby market that's going to resurge. But we won't get into that. Real estate is our proficiency, but don't say.
If you could name one actual Beanie Baby, because don't they each have a different name?
It's a Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh yeah. What was
Garbage Pail Kids. Put all your money.
Forget what I said about Beanie Baby.
Forget everything you know about money and success.
Forget about your money. Just throw it away.
Forget about everything you know about money. Watch our show.
Great episode today. Thanks for staying tuned.
Season 2.
Season 2. I can't believe they renewed our contract.
Gosh, man, we're getting the big bucks. Yeah. So, hey, thanks for sticking with us. I hope our show keeps progressing. We're going to have a new layout. I think we're going to go put a rug, put a nice plant in here.
It's going to require someone to go to the store.
A eucalyptus.
A ukulele.
Yeah, a koala.
Thanks for tuning in. This is all about you, ABQ.